Hello, I'm State Representative Jim Buchy from the 84th House District. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm Brad Miller, and I'm pleased to be joined today by State Representative Jim Buchy, who serves the 84th House District, which includes all of Mercer County and parts of Audelaize, Darke, and Shelby counties. Representative, welcome back to the show.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, whatever. Thanks, Brad, for having me back.
We'll touch on a number of topics today. One of the most popular topics we talk about always is agriculture.
Certainly.
Naturally, the largest industry in your district and in the state. But one thing that the legislature has been working on in recent months kind of blends the industry of agriculture with another very important industry in the state of Ohio, and that is tourism. So naturally, you combine the words together for agritourism. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, of course, you've defined the term, but in reality, what that means is that people who are not knowledgeable about how our food is produced are having the opportunity to go on farms and not only get educated and learn more about food production, but also have the opportunity to buy very good quality produce and agriculture items at competitive prices while they're in the process. So it's a good crossroads between agriculture production, farming, and tourism.
So House Bill 80 was introduced by Representative Tony Berkeley, who serves the northwest corner of the state. What needs to be done legislatively on this type of issue? And what is House Bill 80?
Sure. Well, of course, what we want to do is to protect the ability of farmers to be able to produce their food through zoning laws and so on. Currently, nobody can zone agriculture out of existence or stop people in the rural areas from starting an agriculture operation. So that's one big thing. We wanted to make sure that the ag tourism folks have the same benefits as regular producers. At the same time, we want to make sure that the farmers also get to keep CAUV, the current agriculture use value, of their farmland so that they're protected from those benefits as well. So those are the two biggies that are in the bill.
We'll move right along. Something that has been discussed and worked on not just for the past several months, but for the past several years in the General Assembly is reforms to the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, something you've been active in working on. Can you tell us some of the reforms that have been done dating back to even 2011 when you first started, and kind of give us an update of what the effect has been?
Well, of course, workers' compensation started in 1913 in Ohio, and it was started because to grant employers protection from civil liability when injuries occurred on the job, so that the employee would have the security of being able to be rehabilitated and get over the injury so that they could get back to work, and the employee and the employer would have the benefit of immunity from civil liability. So there's been a couple cases since that time that have affected that, but that's the basis for workers' compensation. Protect the workers while securing the rights of the employer. Now, since 2011, because of top management of the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, we've been able to have 3 major refunds to employers amounting to over $2 billion. And of course, what that does is not only lowers the cost of doing business to the employer, still maintains the credibility of the program so that injured workers are still going to be taken care of when they have accidents on the job. So with good management, refunds, same time protecting the integrity of the system.
So this has been something that's beneficial. The program itself is beneficial for both employers and employees, and in the end also benefit for state government. Is this a bigger issue with more jobs being created in the state, more focus being put on this?
Well, you've hit on one of the keys. It has allowed employers with a lower cost of doing business to invest in equipment and expansion and sales, which results in more jobs. This is all about job creation, while at the same time having the integrity of the system intact.
couple years ago, this will touch on a subject that might require some explanation. A tax exemption was put in place for veterans and fraternal organizations a few years back. One area that was not granted a tax exemption were Masonic learning centers, something that impacts your district. What is, first tell us what a Masonic learning center is, and then we can talk about what has been done in state government.
Across North America, there are 61 learning centers, and the centers are professional training for those children who have been diagnosed with dyslexia. And the whole purpose of the centers is to take a child, no matter what grade level that it's been discovered they have dyslexia, bring them to the center, and they have a 2-year program that is administered by professional dyslexia teachers who will take that child no matter what level they are, and within 2 years have them up to at least the same reading speed as their contemporaries. In many cases, and at the end of 2 years, the children are ahead of their contemporaries because of what they've learned with the dyslexia. And of course, it's the most important skill there is. If you can't read, your chances for success in life are diminished.
So what has been done from a legislative standpoint recently regarding these tax exemptions?
Sure. Well, what happened, of course, as you indicated in your opening remarks about this segment, that the tax department has become greedy in not allowing the exemption for the learning centers, which are 501c3 operations that are held in the Masonic Center. And other fraternal organizations that have 501c3s operating in them, the tax department is taxing them as well. So all what we said in the legislation is we'll treat everybody the same as long as they're tax exempt and are operating programs in tax exempt from the real estate tax. There, it's a go.
So, like I said, a lot of people might not be familiar with this issue, but can you, and I know you touched on this, but can you talk about the importance of kind of what this has for education statewide, what these centers provide, and how they help families?
Well, of course, when the children become successful in reading, and at the Masonic centers, for example, there is no charge to the parents or the children for getting the education. That's the whole purpose. It's a philanthropy of the Masonic organization. So it's providing a service, and it's also gearing the children for future successes in life, no matter what field of endeavor they choose later on. It also, this tax exemption allows more funds for the organization to teach more children. So it's a big win all the way around for Ohioans.
In the previous General Assembly, now that we're heading into the fall months, hard to believe we're talking about that already, but during the last legislative term, the legislature named September as Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Month. Can you talk about the importance of doing that, and then we can talk about how it impacts your district?
Well, the importance of it is this is a degenerative disease that's caused in infants and early childhood where the children do not have the ability to develop, and it's a degenerative type disease. It's not a usual. It's not the good news is it's not on a statewide, a big basis. The numbers are small, but it's very degenerative, and there's really no cure for mitochondrial disease. So through the efforts of Senator Beagle, Senate Bill 300 was passed to make September Awareness Day. What we're trying to do, obviously, in the legislation is educate the populace as to what the disease is and how to look for it, and while research is being conducted to find a cure. There is no cure for this disease, and so on.
I understand this has a direct link to someone in your district, actually your hometown.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Karina Strasser was a young lady diagnosed with this debilitating and eventual demise of her life. And while she was early in life and as a teenager, she devoted her time. She lived to be 16. And during her life, she spent her time raising funds to help for research for the disease. And she was quite a lady. She was upbeat. She was an inspiration to all of us. I mean, those of us who don't have the situation she did, if we lived with the positive outlook that she had, why, this would be a far better place to live. So that's Karina Strasser is the genesis of this legislation that was passed, and why we want to continue to educate people of the seriousness of this disease and why efforts should continue to find a cure.
So kind of an example of how the efforts of one person carries on and can help other people in the future. Can you talk about, and you discussed this briefly, but how this not only will address this issue, but kind of carry on her legacy, like you said?
Absolutely, and it's on a year-by-year basis. As progress is made towards the cure of this disease, it will be through the efforts of such admirable heroes as Karina Strasser.
We have a few minutes left. I know you're always a big fan of the fairs, county fairs. You serve at least parts of 4 different counties. Can you talk about the fairs, your enjoyment of them, and kind of how they impact the whole community?
Well, of course, fairs in counties, particularly rural counties, is the focal point of the social season. And of course, being the big agricultural presence that the 84th House District has, the fairs are a good way to showcase the agriculture through 4-H and FFA projects that are at the fairs, plus good, wholesome family entertainment. Food's terrible, but everything else is just fine. Yeah, I haven't passed a funnel cake or a Italian sausage stand that one of them doesn't jump up my hands and go on, you know.
You can't control it.
I can't.
It's not.
I have nothing. Yeah, I just can't help myself. So it's fun, and it's always fun to support the kids. One of my fairs, well, all 4 fairs have not only the 4-H projects and the FFA projects, but most of these youth organizations have stands and ways that they help generate revenue to keep their organizations going. So I always like to, you know, most of the fried veggies and ice cream and all that, you know, I gotta help the kids.
Right, at least you're getting your vegetables.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting my vegetables.
Makes them a lot easier to stomach when you
oh
deep
yeah,
fry
when they're
them,
deep
too.
fried. Yeah, you got it, Brad.
We have a couple minutes left. You know the drill at the end of the program. You share with your constituents how they can reach you here in Columbus.
Sure. Well, phone number is 614-466-6344, or email rep84@ohiohouse.gov. And of course, we encourage you to take our survey again this month. So at tinyurl.com/Buchy August 2015. Let us know what you think.
And that information is also located at the bottom of the screen. Representative, as always, good talking to you.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to seeing you again on the next edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. Thanks for watching.